Hello, beautiful souls. This is Michelle with Upgrade in Progress. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Thanks for clicking on this video. This channel, Upgrade in Progress, is really just about me sharing my truth. And recently, I kind of turned off social media, all social media, except for YouTube, and that might be next. I don't know. But the reason I left Instagram recently was because of the energy around it. Um, I know my intention and I know my heart, and when it's pure and you're just trying to help and then you get attacked, it's like I spent some time struggling with it and then resetting and kind of going back in, sort of like, okay, just armor up and deal with it, or the old mentality of put on a thick skin. And then it just kind of dawned on me that that didn't make sense to me, because it seemed like this whole process of ascension for me is about becoming extremely sensitive, and then being able to do what is necessary for me and my energy to be able to remain in that high vibration and continue ascending. So I just found that it was sort of I could kind of feel it. Even when I put out a post, I could sort of feel in anticipation, how it was going to be received, and then, finding doubts in myself. And so it was, I think what I'm really trying to say is this whole process for me has become very alchemical. This ascension, this time right now, it truly is, from my experience. So again, my channel, my experience, my interpretation. It's not for to tell anybody what they need to do. It's my journey. So maybe I should kind of turn this into a vlog. I'm not really familiar with a lot of the terminology and the things that go on, but it kind of seems like maybe that's what I'm doing. I'm just sort of recording my journey and my own discovery, and then sharing it, sort of like breadcrumbs. And that's, another part that's really been really obvious to me. So my whole awakening and ascension, I found, happened organically inside of me. And then I would go and find breadcrumbs, meaning these things would happen inside of me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was called, other than, my limited mind at the time was like, something's going on, you're going crazy or whatever. So my limited mind was, telling me to go seek out some information that can help kind of put a story together that was really evolving for me from the inside out. And so I did. So kind of fast forward, a few years, and here we are in 2020, and I see what happened in me personally and individually now happening out in the collective. So I've been doing a lot of different research and going down different not rabbit holes so much, but just seeking different knowledge now, because as the world shifts and changes, whether it's censorship, the stuff that's kind of getting squeezed on the outside, is forcing me to go inside and find answers. And that's like on a global and a collective level, that's what I see is happening. And we can put it in different definitions. So what I see happening, this is my interpretation of what's going on now. Right now, I think it's the beginning of August. I think it's like August 2nd or August 3rd, 2020. So what I see playing out now is the images that are coming to me more and more, and I've talked about this in other videos, and you see it playing out, is there is a great divide going on right now. And it is on a very micro level and a very macro level. So in other words, the divide, it doesn't matter if it's mask versus no mask, Democrats versus Republicans, blacks versus whites, you know, everybody versus everybody. It's the divide is, if you don't think like me, you are them. And so this big divide really is taking place. It really is. And I choose to believe that there's both malevolent and benevolent contributing factors to that. But I focus on the benevolent, meaning things have to get really, 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 really hard and obvious for people to start waking up. And they are. So the image that keeps coming to me in the divide is the image of the Titanic. And that means that what I see is the 3D world, the old paradigm, the old structures, you know, whether and it's from a micro to a macro level. That whole timeline is slowly going down. And it's, I think, a drip system, so it's going to be very hard to see. And so the more that people are in it, the more that they can kind of acclimate to the pressure of the ship going down. So in other words, at first it's just the mask, and then, you know, they can say, okay, well, it's, I get it. It's, I'm going to do it for me. It's, there's a virus out there. It's dangerous. And then segue into the mandatory vaccines because, you know, if we're already in this mindset, then the next step is, you know, going into, you know, like I said, the vaccines, and then the vaccines may or may not contain chips, or, you know, it's a form of identification. It's all linking up. It's AI. It's the Internet of Things. It's just more and more and more and more and more controlling is what I see. So that's what I mean as far as the ship's going down. It's going down as far as your soul's liberation. You know, you can ride that timeline and still have fun and still have experiences and just kind of go with the flow for a while. There's, I mean, again, in my mind, I don't go really far down that timeline. I just see that since it takes away individuals' liberties, that's not the timeline that I want. So I'm already on this other timeline, and many, many others are. The Great Awakening is the shifting from that timeline over to the ascended timeline, the 5D consciousness and above, meaning, you know, we're going right now from the old paradigm into the new paradigm, and at any point along the way, everybody has the choice to choose whether or not they continue to ride. And in that old paradigm is every attachment that people have. It doesn't matter whether it's attachment to people, to country, to nationality, to culture, to partners, to whatever it is that keeps people attached to that. And the reason I say nationality, you know, USA, is because that creates division and duality. So that's like USA is better than, you know, another country, but underneath all that, we're all humans and we all have souls. So again, rising above the duality of it all, because that timeline will continue to be that duality, whereas this timeline, the 5D and the higher consciousness and above, even though it's an individual choice and we got to do our work in the middle. In other words, the only way out of this timeline is through yourself your inner work to ascend into the higher consciousness. So, I guess what's coming to me and what is really important, I think, to say so that it resonates with more people is I've never, ever been a religious person. In fact, I was almost anti-religion because I was introduced at an early age to Catholicism, and it didn't take me long as a young gay person. Not that I ascribe to that label anymore, but my point is as I identified as a young gay person, and the church that I was indoctrinated into automatically rejected me, I was like, something's wrong. So at a very early age, I knew intuitively for me that there was something wrong with religions, because what was inside me was telling me and feeling that there was no, like, God loved you, and there's no mistaking. There's no mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. So I don't know why I got on that path, but my point is, so I think I was laying the foundation, because I've never read the Bible, and I've never ascribed to any religion, but what I'm feeling intuitively as connected with the benevolent energies is that it is very much related to Jesus Christ and God, because I uttered the words, and I don't know why. I would have never thought about saying this, but about a year ago in meditation, I tapped into Christ consciousness. And I do have at least 2 stories of when I very much became and tapped into that Christ consciousness. But on this particular occasion, I was deep in meditation, and I was in my room, so it was a nighttime meditation, and I was compelled. I had my earphones on. I couldn't hear myself, but I literally was compelled to say the words out loud, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And I realized the enormity of what's playing out is really biblical, and kind of like the good versus evil and the dark versus the light. And if the farther you go down with your attention and your energy, meaning, but it's about the masks, it's about the virus, it's about, the farther you go down, the more you go down into 3D. So it takes that intentional awareness and then action to bring that awareness back up into a higher state, so that you can see past it, get rid of all the emotion that's tied to those beliefs. So in my example of kind of like patriotism and USA, it's so far beyond that. It's so far beyond that. So, an example is there's lots of studies coming out right now that are showing that the countries that were openly doing hydrochloroquine and not using masks, their numbers are far superior than ours. So we have to look at that and understand that there is intention behind that. And to not see that is still kind of those blinders on, and there's nothing we can do except for put information out like this. So the saying, we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make him drink. And that's it. That's all I want to do. So this will find whoever it needs to. I sort of felt like with the Instagram, maybe I was pushing it. And when I tapped out of the matrix and said, I just can't work for anybody anymore, because even though my heart is saying I am in service to others, I cannot do it in a way that is dictated outside of me. That's what made me pull out of the matrix in the first place. My heart was so big, my desire to help others was so big, but it was being stifled by the bureaucratic red tape, meaning, you can't, Michelle, you can't go help those people. You got to be here at this meeting. You got to write this policy. You got to do this. So I recognized right away that in order to be of service, I literally had to tap out and tap away from that and serve in a very different manner, meaning what I have to offer is available. if anybody should come around and want it. And if they don't, that's okay, because there is very much a big part of me that just wants to flow and doesn't want to be tied down to, well, can you come here and can you come do this? So again, I've made reference to the fact that I kind of appreciate that I have a very low number of viewers and followers right now, because it's allowing me to be in that space of, listen, I'm just doing this for me. I'm just out there going, this doesn't make sense to me. This was my process, and I'm going to put it out there, and hopefully people just see it, and if they don't like it, then they can move away. But if it starts to happen what happened at Instagram, like there was people saying you're crazy, or just wear a mask, or do this or do that, then that's when I'll tap out of this social platform, because again, I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but when people are spewing that on me, it reminds me of the saying, if you don't tend to your wounds, then you bleed on people who don't cut you. And that's exactly what's happening, is there's blood spewing everywhere, and it's getting all over us, and I didn't cut you. So, I encourage anybody who this doesn't resonate with, I encourage you to just sit with that and take that trigger as a teaching opportunity to go, I can just choose to move on and ask myself why that triggered me, because that's what's playing out in the world is there is this great divide, and it's one or the other. And like I said, it doesn't matter. Pick your juice. You got orange juice, and they got cherry juice. And the orange juice does not like the cherry juice, and the cherry juice does not like the orange juice, and the two will never, mix. And so that is kind of the way that our world is right now. And will it smooth itself out? It will, as more and more people take on the embodiment of the higher consciousness, of allowing and recognizing where others are at in their journey and not judging it. So I think this was just my way of saying, we have to rise. There's a reason why that was being, these are your breadcrumbs. So I realized that I was having all of these organic experiences inside of me, and then finding my breadcrumbs, and now I'm leaving breadcrumbs for people to pick up. And if they don't pick it up, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't take anything away from me. Somebody might pass it by and go, nope, that's not my breadcrumb. Okay, perfect. But it might be somebody else's. So just leave it there without kicking it aside, or, spitting on it, or whatever negative, comments. So I've also been learning a lot recently about Gnosis. And that's exactly what is happening to me. Is I am experiencing that gnosis, that gnosism of knowing that divine connection that we are coming into. So again, that higher path, that alternative, that choice of ascending, waking up and ascending, is tapping into that source energy and beginning that new relationship with God, with source, the energy flowing through us instead of being separated and cut off, because that's what the 3D world was. We felt cut off from ourselves, from God, from source. And now when we tap away from it, when we step away from all of the distractions that are going on, and we can detach physically and emotionally, and even intellectually, psychologically, then we begin to allow a freer flowing energy, and that's when the ascension will begin. So thank you for joining me on this journey, and I keep saying this, I hope to see you in the higher realms, and my guess is if you're here, you're already on your path to the higher realms. So namaste, my friends. I'm sending nothing but love and light, and encouraging everybody to just take a moment, take a deep breath, settle into yourself, and let's ride this new journey, because it is far greater than the one that we were on. Human 2.0. Let's tap in. Love you guys.